Happy Father's Day everyone, and welcome back to a very special Top 10 video. As an homage to what I think is really one of the most important holidays of the year, we'll be covering the top 10 most badass anime dads to celebrate the occasion. As we've seen time and time again, fathers often play a really critical role in shaping our main characters in anime, whether that be for better or for worse. Sometimes they play beneficial support roles, for example, serving as a mentor or a source of motivation. Other times their roles are more sinister, where they appear as villains or adversaries that our main characters strive to overcome. So without further ado, let's dive right into our top 10 most badass anime fathers. Starting off the list at number 10, we have Jing Freaks, father of Gon Freaks from Hunter x Hunter. Now, I know this one's going to stir some controversy because, in all fairness, Jing is a bit of a deadbeat dad. He wasn't really around to help raise Gon, at all. And when he made his first pseudo-appearance, if you could call it that, at the start of the York New City arc, when Gon and Killua listened to a tape left by him, he basically revealed that he's not all that keen on seeing his son anyway, giving off one of those, see me when you're worthy type of vibes. However, you'll notice that the title of this video is Top 10 Badass Dads in Anime, not Best Dads in Anime. And Jing Freaks is definitely a badass. Still, I acknowledge I'm playing some word games here, so to even it out, I did place him way at the bottom of this list. Jing has this air of mystery around him for almost the entirety of what's been animated of the story so far. Along with less than a dozen other individuals, he was one of the co-creators of Greed Island, the Westworld-esque Nen-powered game, if you could call it that encompassed an entire island. Toward the end of the current anime, he's also revealed to be one of the Zodiacs, which the show alludes to as some of the most powerful members of the Hunter Association. In addition to these badass accomplishments, Jing does seem to have some redeeming qualities when we and Gon finally meet him in the series. It's satisfying to see such a comfortable moment between father and son when, in their first interaction in such a long time, they're able to talk as if they've been in each other's lives all along. And Jing is even able to impart a good lesson to Gon on apologies, giving him a solid point on the father scoreboard. Next up at number 9, we have Naruto Uzumaki, who is now a dad himself on his own show's sequel, Boruto. Following the pattern from Jing in the previous spot, this hero of Konoha is more badass than dad, but hey, at least he's trying. After spending his whole life pursuing his dream of becoming the Hokage and having everyone in the village acknowledge him, and then actually achieving his goal, it's understandable that he struggles a bit with balancing his leadership responsibilities with his fatherly duties. We often see him slipping up, sending shadow clones in his place to try and be at multiple places at once, and oftentimes his children are left with some disappointment as they don't get to spend as much time as they'd like with their dad. Still though, in those times when it really matters, Naruto does pull through, not only in treating the village as his family, but also in protecting his actual family. One of the most epic examples of this is when Naruto gets kidnapped by Momoshiki and is rescued by Sasuke and Boruto gets to see his dad in true action as he pairs up with his old rival and shows his son just what level of badass Naruto truly is. Mada mada, young chap. Coming in at the number 8 spot, we have Tokiomi Tosaka from FateZero. While perhaps not the flashiest or long-lived of characters, Tokiomi, when you look at him from a fundamental perspective, has all the makings of a true badass father. As the 5th generation head of the Tosaka family, this elegant magus is as textbook well-trained as they come. Having been identified by Kiritsugu Emiya as one of the 3 most threatening magi involved in the entire war, a compliment that does not come unwarranted, Tokiomi summons one of the most powerful heroic spirits across many of the Fate series, Gilgamesh, as his servant. All this being said, Tokiomi did some really questionable decisions, and some of them had really dire consequences. The first was taking on Kirei Kotomine as an apprentice prior to the start of the Fourth Holy Grail War. While Tokiomi takes Kirei under his wing and elevates him to an even higher power level, he never truly understands how empty Kirei is inside or what's going on through his mind, ultimately leading to his betrayal by two of the most powerful creatures that he managed to bring into his inner circle. The second decision was giving up his daughter Sakura to the Mato family. Now, I get where he's coming from, and the logic for why he did that is pretty sound if you think about it, because it really comes down to two factors, really. One is that the Tosaka family's protection and magecraft could only be bestowed upon one of his children. And the second is that there were real risks of allowing one of his kids to not be trained as a magi when they have such high innate abilities. However, we all know how the results of this decision played out. At lucky number 7, we have a fan favorite, Kirito from Sword Art Online. Alright, I'm ready for the barrage of criticism I'm going to get on this one, considering that Yui is an AI and not actually a human. But in essence, that's a lot of what the SAO series is really about, isn't it? Technology and artificial intelligence progressing to the point where that line between us and them becomes very blurry, a topic that's becoming more popularized lately with other shows like Westworld. Anyway, although Kirito is only a teenager when him and Asuna take on Yui as their child, the way that he and Yui interact with each other can only be described as a loving father-daughter relationship. We can really see how much he loves her when he treats other NPCs just like he would treat real people with lives no less valuable than those in the real world. And that just goes to show that his love for her as a daughter would likely be no less than what he would have if he ever has a human daughter in the future. Toward the end of the initial season, just as Yui was about to be erased for having disobeyed the system's orders, Kirito uses his active admin access and his computer skills to save her data and store her core programming, so that their relationship continues to bloom and develop even after the fall of Aincrad. So, in a way, he sort of also gave her the gift of life, if you think about it. Sixth on our list is Vegeta. If anyone saw this coming when the series first started, it certainly wasn't me. Who knew that the merciless Saiyan Prince, as close to a textbook anti-hero as they come, one of the last of his kind, eternal rival of Goku, would eventually settle down and start a family? If you told me that when it happened, I would have thought it was an April Fool's joke or something. But hey, I guess, people can change in time. Either way, having a wife and a little mini-me definitely doesn't mean that this badass dad has become a softie. He's still one of the fiercest forces in the Dragon Ball universe, and we've seen him risk his life time and time again to take down anyone who would threaten his family. Regardless of how much he likes to spout about everyone being inferior to him, we know that his heart's in the right place. Clocking in at the midway point, at number 5, we have Hohenheim from Fullmetal Alchemist. Known as the Sage of the West, Van Hohenheim is an immortal alchemist with a troubled backstory. Having been alluded to as a mysterious character for much of the earlier parts of the series, who left home when Edward and Alphonse were but wee little sprouts, he's later introduced and plays a prominent role in the latter part of the series. As the antithesis to the main villain, who's interestingly enough is named Father, the centuries-long chess battle between these two juggernauts is the underlying fabric that's shaped the conflict of the entire show. Although Hohenheim never really regrets or tries to justify leaving home when his boys were young, the touching relationship we see between them tells us that his heart's really in the right place, and it's definitely worth a watch, both in the various series as well as the movies. Fourth on our list, we have Isshin Kurosaki from Bleach. What I find most incredible about Isshin is that he's portrayed to be this immature, buffoon-like dad, really, who's always squabbling with his son over the pettiest of topics, and who spends his time working as a professional doctor. And it isn't until 100 episodes in, or more than that, where it's finally revealed that whenever Ichigo secretly went off on his Shinigami adventures, Isshin was always fully aware because he himself is actually a Shinigami as well, and an insanely powerful one at that. Once the big reveal has been made, Isshin expands his role from being father of Ichigo the boy to being the father and mentor of Ichigo the Shinigami, as he played a key role in training Ichigo to become even stronger in preparation for some of his most important battles in the series. It's unfortunate that the final arcs of the series never got animated, and if you check out the manga, you'll see just how big of a role Isshin played in Ichigo's development. Unlike some of our earlier characters on our list, it just goes to show that you don't have to be a deadbeat dad to be a badass. Stepping into our top 3 spotlights, we have the Yellow Flash himself, Minato Namikaze. A step above Naruto in the family tree, this spiky-haired ace ninja is even more of a badass dad than his son, in my opinion. He may or may not be as strong, and that's a conversation for a different day anyway, but purely in terms of confidence, wisdom, sensibility, and just overall swagger, Konoha's Yellow Flash takes the cake easy. One of the most badass scenes we see him in is when he makes the decision to lay down his own life in order to seal the Kyuubi away inside his son, hitting 2 birds with 1 stone, by protecting his village and setting his son up for success, even though Naruto won't feel that way for a while, all in one. Lots of anime dads talk a big game, but when it comes to walking the walk, few can stand toe-to-toe with Minato. Moving on to our runner-up number 2 position, we have one of the most badass characters of all time, let alone badass dads, Ugur Ohama. In all honesty, I was ready to put this ogre in the number 1 spot, but recent developments in anime granted the number 1 title to a different dad who we'll touch on in just a minute. For now, let's talk about just how badass the strongest fighter on Earth is. There are few words that can accurately describe the extent of just how absurdly powerful Ugur Ohama is. Words like monster, wild beast, and force of nature are some descriptions that at least come close. Most would call his parenting tactics unsavory, and even downright creepy in some cases. But his main drive in life seems to be elevating his son Baki to become strong enough to beat him in combat one day, and that seems to be a motivating factor that's working for his son. From what I've seen though, whether that day will ever actually come seems fairly unlikely. We're finally here, my friends. The world's best anime dad coffee mug goes to none other than Endeavor from My Hero Academia. If anyone here disagrees with me, my first question to you would be, have you actually finished this latest 4th season of My Hero? I'll admit, prior to the season finale, I would have put Endeavor lower on the list, maybe even down in the bottom 5 somewhere. But the show has done a spectacular job at humanizing what was many people's least likable character earlier on in the show. Does it completely excuse all the bad things he's done to his family in the past? No. Is he now a saint that deserves admiration from anyone and everyone? Of course not. But can we at least get a better picture and empathize more with the motivations that have driven some of his actions and decisions in his parenting? Definitely yes. And in his latest battle, not only was the whole country watching, but even his children, including Shoto, had their eyes glued to the screen cheering on their dad, even after everything that he's put them through. And if that's not the mark of a badass dad, then All Might Have Mercy, I don't know what is. Deku may eventually become the world's strongest hero if his monologue in the show's intro is to be believed, but for now, All Might is permanently retired, and the new symbol of peace is here. And that symbol's name is Flame Hero Endeavor. Alright everyone, that wraps up our Father's Day list. As you can see, badass anime dads come in all different shapes and sizes, with their own unique personalities and parenting philosophies. Some are emotionally and mentally tough, some have an air of mystery and intrigue, and some are just overall clowns. But one thing they all have in common is they shape the way that our characters grow, in one way or another. And if you haven't seen some of these bad dads in action, I highly recommend you see them on their respective shows. So which one of these anime dads was your favorite? I sincerely want to hear your thoughts, so please give me a comment below to let me know what you think. And as always, please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, as it helps support me in creating more anime content. Thanks again, I'm Alex Alvern, and I'll see you in the next one.